It's Tuesday, January 31st, and this is now on HNN.
Breaking news, Kauai loses an entertainment icon, Uncle Larry Rivera. We're gathering more details on his passing.
President Biden is set to give his State of the Union address amidst multiple House investigations. What one of the chief Republican investigators has to say about his agenda and how Democrats are pushing back.
A crucial service for so many. Improvements on the way for the handy van. These stories and more coming up on This Is Now. And welcome to This Is Now. We begin with breaking news from Hawaii's entertainment industry.
Yes, we have some sad news from our friends over on Kauai. Larry Rivera, entertainment icon, legendary, and known as Mr. Coco Palms, he died Tuesday. His family confirms he was 92 years old. Rivera had a very notable life in the entertainment industry, having started his career in the 50s. He performed for over 50 years at the famed Coco Palms Hotel, even working alongside Elvis in Blue Hawaii and sharing the stage with Don Ho and Patti Page and so many other notable names. Now, with his music career spanning nearly 7 decades, he earned so many awards and accolades, including a Nahoku Hanohano Award, Lifetime Achievement Award. Now, his family said he was hospitalized in early January after a recent car crash, which later revealed other medical problems. Now, he was so many people saw him as a living treasure, and the loss is definitely being felt. Again, entertainment icon Uncle Larry Rivera has died at the age of 92, and we are working to gather more reaction to this story, and we'll have updates for you coming up on later editions of Hawaii News Now.
Yeah, and our other top story in national news, we are a week out from President Biden's second State of the Union address, and House Republicans are gearing up for multiple investigations regarding his administration. Peter Zampa has the story from D.C.
Tensions are high here on Capitol Hill to start the 118th Congress, with Democrats controlling the Senate and Republicans controlling the House. Now, House Republicans are using their newly acquired power to investigate the Biden administration halfway through his term.
We are going to provide real oversight, and the White House is just going to have to get used to it.
The new face of the House Oversight Committee, Kentucky Republican James Comer, pledging payback. I asked Comer what his top priorities are in his new post. He says misuse of tax dollars, the crisis at the southern border, the Biden family taking money from adversaries, and mishandling of classified documents.
Those, for some folks, might reek of partisanship. Is there any way to give more of an air of bipartisanship on this committee that's a crucial committee in the House?
I think with respect to the Biden family influence peddling, at the end of the day, you're going to see bipartisan legislative solution to the problem.
You have all these questions for President Biden. Do you have any questions for former President Trump?
We're going to have questions for Trump at the end of the influence peddling investigation because, as I said, there's going to be a fix. And we're always going to have presidents that have family members that are involved in international business.
Democrats fear these investigations are distractions.
I think it's an unfortunate use of time. I think that Americans want us to get busy and solve the actual problems that we have.
Alaska Congresswoman Mary Peltola says many of the Republican investigations should be done by the Department of Justice. But Georgetown University political expert Mark Rahm says the current Republican House does not trust outside entities to conduct these probes. Rahm says some of their investigative agenda could be productive on things like COVID or the Afghanistan withdrawal. But he says others, like investigating the president's family, will just increase polarization.
Those may be important to the Republicans that are investigating them, but not so important to the American public.
The House Oversight Committee's first hearing is on wasteful spending during the pandemic. Comer also scheduled a hearing on the border to take place the same day as the president's State of the Union address, February 7th. Reporting in Washington, I'm Peter Zampa.
Embattled New York Representative George Santos told House Republicans Tuesday morning he will formally recuse himself from serving on committees. According to a CBS report, Santos apologized at the meeting to his House Republican colleagues for being a distraction. He was previously assigned to 2 House panels, the Committee on Small Business and the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. And he wants to stay off of committees until his name is cleared.
Yeah, I met with George Santos yesterday, and I think it was an appropriate decision that until he can clear everything up, he's off committees right now.
Was that something that you asked him in the meeting?
We had a discussion, and he asked me if he could do that, so I think it was the appropriate decision.
What would need to be, what would his name being cleared mean?
Well, no, going through ethics on some of these concerns, and we'll make sure we'll allow the voters have elected him. He'll have a voice here in Congress, and until he answers all those questions, then at that time, he'll be able to be seated on committees.
Would you want to hear from?
Why would you appoint him to the committees if you then wanted him to step down from the committees?
He's not appointed to committees. He's going to answer all the questions before he's on committees.
Do you intend to keep those seats open? Do you plan to fill them?
If I fill them, it'll be on a temporary basis. He'll be able to get committees back once they're cleared.
Santos has admitted to lying about much of his background and is being investigated by the House Ethics Committee as well as New York federal prosecutors. Meanwhile, Hawaii's congressional delegation has also learned of its committee assignments. Freshman Congresswoman Jill Tokuda announced her appointment to serve on the powerful House Armed Services Committee. Congressman Ed Case serves on the Appropriations and Natural Resources panels.
We have an update now on that massive boulder that crashed into a Palolo Valley home, nearly killing a woman. The city has now launched an investigation into the cause. The head of the city's Department of Planning and Permitting called the video horrific and reached out to that woman personally. DPP is investigating if a nearby construction project may have played a role, but officials say it's too early to make a determination at this point. Now to a developing story on Hawaii Island where county police are defending an officer who shot and killed a pit bull while responding to a call in Kauai. Our Jelani Martinez has both sides.
These are the 5 pit bulls that ran up to an officer at a Pahala home Saturday. Police say after knocking repeatedly, the owner let them loose. 16-year-old Nikki Vander Elst says they just ran out when she cracked the door. Within seconds, the officer shot and killed a dog named Kai.
I didn't know there was much I could do because I knew I wouldn't be able to get there in time because he already had his hand on his gun.
They're full-size pit bulls, and he probably was scared. I froze. Our dogs have never been aggressive.
We're committed to being transparent.
In his first full week on the job, Hawaii County's new police chief says his department will release the body cam video showing the dogs attack the officer simultaneously, jumping on him and clawing his legs. HPD says the officer commanded the dogs to get back, and one tried to bite his face.
It went from 0 to 10 in a matter of just a few seconds. So, officers are kind of challenged with making these kind of split-second life or death decisions, unfortunately, on a fairly regular basis.
They run, they jump, they lick, and everything. They just want lovings. They're the most loving dogs ever. We believe it's a crime. They're labeling him as a vicious dog when he actually wasn't. He pulled a gun on him when he could have used anything else to detain him. And you just think it's just not fair.
Yes, good girl. Dog expert Eric Sachs says officers should be trained to prevent dog attacks with the right body language, but sometimes defense may be the only option.
Get something in between you and the dogs. Get on top of something. If you could, hop on top of a rock wall or something where the dog's not going to be able to get up, that would be preferable to shooting him. But if it's a pack of 5 dogs attacking him, he probably has to defend himself.
The department has since launched a dangerous dog investigation and an internal investigation. Jelani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
After nearly 3 years, President Biden is planning to end the COVID health emergency in May. Gloria Pazmino joins us with more on how this will impact Americans. Gloria.
That's right, and we still have 3 months until these orders are lifted, so that means that you still have plenty of time to prepare. But the most important thing, according to health experts, is that vaccination and masking up will still continue to be key parts of prevention.
After more than 3 years, the COVID national and public health emergencies will officially expire in the U.S. on May 11th. Jen Cates, Senior Vice President with the Kaiser Family Foundation, says that even though some of the health and social benefits put in place at the start of the pandemic will end when these 2 emergency orders expire, they don't represent all of the measures put in place. There is one big change: access to free COVID home test.
Whether you were a Medicare beneficiary or Medicaid or private, that's going away with the end of the PHE. And so getting tests when you need them might be more challenging, and you probably have to pay out of pocket in full for a home test, or you might start facing cost sharing.
Kate says to expect more cost sharing around certain therapeutic treatments as well from your insurance. So who will be impacted the most once these emergencies end in May?
The uninsured and those with insufficient insurance will be the hardest hit, as has always been the case in our healthcare system. They stand to lose the most. They do not have a guaranteed access to these things.
But Kate says there is one thing to remember. Even with these declarations ending,
everyone with insurance, virtually everyone with insurance, will get free vaccines, even after the federal supply is gone, even after all of the emergency declarations are over.
So that last part is going to be key, even though there are some changes that are going to be happening. Everything that we've learned in the past few years will still apply. So if you're sick, stay home. If you feel like you should, mask up around others, especially in crowded situations. And of course, get your vaccine and get your booster. That will still prevent you from getting sick and getting others around you sick. Mark.
Yeah, Gloria, looking at all the ripple effects involved with all of this, you listed a number of factors. Now, for the issue of at-home tests, should people start stocking up now?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. When I was speaking with the health experts today, they said it's a good idea to take advantage of the benefit now. You can get up to 8 free tests at many local libraries, local health clinics around the country. But do be careful of keeping track of when those tests expire, because the FDA does not recommend using expired tests at home because the results could be bad. So it is not a bad idea to stock up while supplies are available, but just keep attention to that expiration date.
And when the orders are lifted, is there a concern among the decision makers in charge of all of this that there will be a feeling among people that they no longer need to worry about COVID?
Yeah, that is a concern that some of the policy experts do have, that if you lift a declaration of emergency, that people will think that COVID is over and that there is nothing to worry about. But that is, of course, not how infectious disease works. COVID is still very much a part of our lives. It is not upending life the way it did several years ago. It is not affecting major parts of life. Much of the day-to-day world is back to normal. But it is important to just continue to be cautious, especially when you're sick, making sure that you get the vaccinations and the boosters, and just continuing to apply those lessons that we've learned over the last year, masking up when indoors in big crowded spaces, and adhering to those recommendations like getting the vaccination and getting the booster.
Gloria Pazmino, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your insight. Have a great one.
Back here on Oahu, after 47 years as Hawaii's largest outdoor venue, it's time to say aloha to Aloha Stadium. Officials will be holding a stadium closing event on Saturday, February 25th. On that day, the stadium will be open to the public from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. There will be photo ops, activities, tours, games, and even live entertainment. But due to limited space, reservations are required. The prices range from free to $10 per ticket, depending on the time slot you select. For more information or to purchase tickets, head to the website on your screen. Well, Oahu's handy van service is a critical one for so many in the community, and now changes are coming to improve the fleet. Our Casey Lunn has the details.
Aloha and good afternoon from aboard one of the handy vans here. I'm with Roger Morton. He's the director of the city's Department of Transportation Services, and Jenny Lemaota, who is with OTS. And I want to start with you, Roger. And when we talk about the recent settlement, I know that, previous years there were folks, some of the riders had complaints and stuff, and the city really has been working, even prior to that settlement, to improve the service. Tell us a little bit about just the scope of what you guys do every day and how it's getting better.
Well, we do provide person-to-person trip for more than 3,000 people a day. We do about 3,000 in-house. We do about 300 that we contract out to, usually taxi companies that we contract out to. We have over 400 people that work in the handy van, including about 300 bus operators, paratransit operators. And so it is a complicated business. Every trip is personal. You pick people up at home, you take them to where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, see, Randall, our operator who's up there with us today, and we appreciate him showing us a little bit about their route. I want to also talk to you, Jenny, a little bit about what Roger said. You know, these folks are doing person-to-person interactions. We talked to some of your operators throughout the day who really take this job very seriously. I mean, what does it mean to you to provide this service for people who maybe otherwise would not be able to get to doctor's appointments and things like that?
It's a great responsibility, not a burdensome type, but a prideful responsibility. It is our kuleana to make sure that our community, our most vulnerable, they get to where they need to get to. And I see it in my staff on a daily basis, from reservationists, schedulers, to our FERS, to our trainers, all the way to our operators, that they share that same kuleana with us.
And actually, we heard from one of the operators earlier this morning on Sunrise. Here's what he had to say.
I love doing my job, and I love, when I pick up my customers, I treat them like family, so it's easier to drive and plan your day.
Really good to talk with Joe. And Roger, I want to ask you to, when we talk about improvements, you say that really as far as on-time pickups and scheduling, you guys are operating pretty well right now.
Yeah, we're operating probably at 90 to 95%. We're also committed to improving our phone service, which has really been, that was the focus of the DOJ, was our phone performance. So we're doing a lot of things. We're bringing in new staff. We're doing some different employment policies. We're going to let folks work from home. That's been a task that OTS has figured out the technology in order to do that. And we're going to provide, ultimately, within a few years, we're working to provide our riders with the ability to schedule their own trips through a computer or through a smartphone.
Roger, thank you. And a reminder for folks that might be interested in some of the services the handy van offers, you do have to qualify for eligibility. You can do that online. We have all the information at our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Casey. Let's take you outside right now. A much different shot than what we've seen compared to yesterday and over the weekend. Things are clearing up after the bout of severe weather the last few days. All schools are once again open on Kauai and Molokai. We've still got some lingering showers, but overall no more major rainmakers for the next several days. For more on that, let's turn to Guy Hoggy with your first alert forecast.
The system is still near us. There's that big storm system that swamped Kauai, Molokai, Maui. And then here on Oahu, we're not seeing much rain right now, but it's not totally dry either. You can see Kauai cloudy but dry here on Oahu. Look at the downpour up on the North Shore and up into the Palisades area. Townside Valley is pretty wet. Maui County out of reach right now. And look at that big mass of moisture. So because it's moving slowly, there could be a flood alert for the Hilo side. But remember, Hilo side is suffering from moderate drought. So for today, there will likely be some afternoon clouds and afternoon showers. We are expecting much more sunshine and on the whole, drier conditions than the last couple of days.
Well, sustainability is a hot topic right now, especially in the travel and tourism industry. Wendy Gillette has the story from Los Cabos, Mexico.
A drone helps snorkel tour leaders in the Sea of Cortez in Mexico spot schools of fish from above. In Cabo Pulmo National Park, 60 miles north of Los Cabos, sea lions and other marine life abound, thanks to a ban on fishing and additional protections instituted almost 3 decades ago when almost all of the fish had disappeared.
It is full of life. The fish found it, and it is really the place that is representing what Jacques Cousteau once called the entire Sea of Cortez the aquarium of the world.
Many in the Los Cabos area are fixated on protecting the environment in and out of the water. In front of Grand Velas Resort, a beach cleaner and employees routinely sweep the sand, removing debris.
When you walk on a beach in Los Cabos, you see a clear blue color on the ocean and clean brown sand. That's how we want to keep it.
We stayed at Grand Velas and Hotel El Ganzo for special rates, where art residencies and a community center are part of the sustainability initiatives.
I think it's not just a matter of giving back to the communities, it's a matter of giving back
something to the world.
Sustainability is so important here. The Los Cabos Tourism Board has devised 10 rules for responsible tourists, including shopping at local businesses and not bargaining with owners.
When you are making a sustainable impact in the community, you are helping to advance in the quality of life that everyone has.
Laurence Jobege recently visited Los Cabos with her family from Lexington, Kentucky.
I've seen that actually in the shops in Cabos. They just give like paper bags, which was quite interesting.
A new survey from Expedia finds 90% of consumers are now looking for sustainable options when traveling. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Los Cabos, Mexico.
Well, how about this story? An artist who began losing his sight as a child has found a unique way to showcase his talent using Braille to break barriers. Ian Lee reports.
Clark Reynolds knows his way around an art gallery, but this is the first time the blind artist is displaying his own work.
Dots for people with low vision.
His Power of Touch exhibit in London features a color-coded Braille system using raised dots that visitors touch to decode messages.
Being able to touch it is really nice because you're so used to going to galleries and it's like don't touch anything.
But it's not just for those with vision impairment, it's for everybody. Sighted, unsighted.
Fine, red, yeah?
Reynolds was just 6 years old when he lost sight in his right eye, and over the years, he lost the rest.
When I learned Braille 3 years ago, it was like, how can I make it accessible for everyone?
He's hoping to bring Braille into school curriculums and change perceptions of art while breaking down stereotypes about the visually impaired.
There's obviously many blind artists, in the world, but of course, how many of those are being able to be given a voice and to be recognised as a standalone artist?
For the viewer to step into my shoes, please look.
Reynolds encourages art lovers to try on special glasses to see what it's like to struggle with sight.
Identified by touch.
Proving in some cases, art is in the hand of the beholder. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
What an incredible story. Talk about a hands-on exhibit there.
That's right.
Pun not intended, but I mean, no.
But it was there.
Yeah, it was there. But it's so amazing how they can decode messages and words, just that. So that is such an awesome, awesome art exhibit.
Remarkable
there.
to see.
Yeah. You want to see something that's not as amazing, Mark? Oh, I cringe looking at this.
Cringe-worthy
and you
video
might
on
too.
its way.
Take a look at this, guys. Always look before you sit. This is what one family discovered in Australia. They got a snake in their toilet. Ooh, no thank you. She's just grabbing it with her bare hands there. A family in Australia got quite the surprise when a snake was found in their toilet. Now, they had to call a professional snake catcher to come to the rescue and retrieve the reptile. It's not exactly known how it got there, probably through the pipes. But it's a common occurrence, especially in summer months when snakes are seeking water. It was retrieved and sent back into the wild. I personally am not a fan of snakes, Mark. Are you?
I could deal with roaches. I could deal with termites, snakes, rodents. Not happening.
What about centipedes?
Nope. They can't deal with centipedes either.
Yeah, this is honestly one reason why I did not move to the mainland for college or anything. I'm afraid of snakes, guys. I am deathly afraid of snakes.
While living in the Bay Area, I would encounter snakes while walking the dog, and they'll just be in residential areas.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
Hard pass.
Yes. Just run home.
Run the other way, guys.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for us. Once again, we are gathering more reaction to the passing of Uncle Larry Rivera on Kauai. We'll have more for you on that coming up later this evening on Hawaii News Now.